kepada seluruh peserta webinar untuk diharap mematikan mikrofonnya dan mengaktifkan kameranya. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. Yang terhormat Bapak Dr. Muhammad Eka Mahmud MAG selaku Dekan Fakultas Tarbiyah dan Ilmu Keguruan Universitas Islam Negeri Sultan Haji Muhammad Idris. Yang terhormat Ibu Rostanti Toba, MPD selaku Ketua Jurusan Bahasa. Yang terhormat Ibu Nadia Syahya, MPD MTSOL, selaku Ketua Program Studi Tadris Bahasa Inggris sekaligus Pembina HMPS Tadris Bahasa Inggris. Yang terhormat Ibu Hijatul Kamariah, MPD MTSOL, selaku pemateri kita pada hari ini. Yang terhormat seluruh delegasi dari SEMA, DEMA, dan HMPS Fakultas Tarbiyah dan Ilmu Keguruan. Dan tak terlupakan seluruh teman-temanku yang tercinta dan para peserta yang ada di acara ini. Hadirin, perkenalkan, nama saya Momiza Yusra. Ini adalah sesuatu yang luar biasa dan kesempatan yang berharga bagi saya menjadi pembawa acara kalian dalam acara ini. Webinar Pendidikan Himpunan Mahasiswa Program Studi Tadris Bahasa Inggris dengan tema Learning English in a Fun Way by Using a Learning Method. Pertama-tama, mari kita ucapkan terima kasih kepada Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala yang telah memberikan kita petunjuk, kebahagiaan, kesehatan, dan rahmat-Nya. Oleh karena itu, kita dapat menghadiri dan berpartisipasi tanpa adanya hambatan sampai sekarang. Selawat serta salam tak lupa pula kita haturkan kepada Nabi Muhammad SAW, utusan terakhir, sosok terbaik di dunia, seseorang yang bisa menyelamatkan kita dari zaman jahiliyah ke zaman yang terang benderang seperti saat ini. Pada pembukaan acara kita mempunyai beberapa agenda. Jadi perkenankan saya untuk membacakan beberapa susunan acara dari agenda kita sebagai berikut. Yang pertama, pembukaan. Yang kedua, pembacaan ayat suci Al-Quran. Yang ketiga, laporan dari Ketua Panitia. Yang keempat, sambutan dari Ketua Umum HMPS TBI. Yang kelima, sambutan dari Dekan Fakultas Tarbiyah dan Ilmu Keguruan. Yang keenam, pembacaan doa. Yang ketujuh, penutup. Untuk mempersingkat waktu, marilah kita membuka acara ini dengan bersama-sama mengucap basmalah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Acara selanjutnya adalah pembacaan ayat suci Al-Quran yang akan dibawakan oleh saudari kita, Recha Alicia Azhara. Dipersilakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Fatalaqa Adamu min Rabbihi kalimatin fataba alaihi innahu huwat tawwabur rahim. Qulna ihbitu minha jami'a فَإِمَّا يَأْتِيَنَّكُمْ مِنِّي هُدًى فَمَنْ تَبِعَ فمن تبع هداي فلا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون والذين كفروا وكذبوا بآياتنا أولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون يا بني إسرائيل اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم وأوفوا بعهدي أوف بعهدكم وإياي فارهبون وآمنوا بما أنزلت مصدقا لما معكم ولا تكونوا أول كافر به ولا تشتروا بآياتي ثمنا قليلا وإياي فاتقون ولا وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة واركعوا مع الراكعين أتأمرون الناس بالبر وتنسون أنفسكم وأنتم تتلون الكتاب أفلا تعقلون واستعينوا بالصبر والصلاة وإنها لكبيرة إلا على الخاشعين الذين يظنون أنهم ملاقو ربهم وأنهم إليه راجعون صدق الله العظيم. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Acara selanjutnya, laporan dari Ketua Panitia oleh Sefiana Bila Agustin, dipersilahkan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih untuk moderator atas membuat acara. Yang pertama, puji syukur kepada Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala karena kedengaran nggak suara saya? Suara saya terdengar?
Terdengar.
Ya, saya ulangi ya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Puji syukur kehadirat Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala karena pagi hari ini kita dapat berkumpul ya meski dalam Zoom. Tidak lupa salawat kepada junjungan kita Nabi Muhammad SAW yang telah membimbing kita dari zaman kegelapan hingga zaman yang terang benderang pada saat ini. Selanjutnya, yang terhormat kepada Dekan Fakultas Tarbiyah dan Ilmu Keguruan, Bapak Dr. Muhammad Eka Mahmud MAG. Kemudian yang terhormat Ketua Program, yang terhormat Ketua Jurusan Bahasa kita Fakultas Tarbiyah dan Ilmu Keguruan, Ibu Rostanti Toba MPD. Selanjutnya yang terhormat kepada Ketua Program Studi Tadris Bahasa Inggris dan Pembina HMPS TBI, Ibu Nadia Syahya MPD MTSol. Selanjutnya yang terhormat kepada pemateri kita, Ibu Hijatul Komaria MPD MTSol. Dan yang terakhir, yang terhormat kepada seluruh delegasi dari SEMA, DEMA, dan HMPS Fakultas Tarbiyah dan Ilmu Keguruan. Juga tidak lupa yang saya hormati seluruh peserta yang hadir pada acara webinar pagi hari ini. Para hadirin yang saya hormati, pagi hari ini kita akan melaksanakan acara webinar pendidikan dengan tema Learning English in a Fun Way by Using E-Learning Method. Dengan diadakannya webinar hari ini adalah bertujuan untuk dapat mengetahui dan mempelajari serta menerapkan bagaimana belajar bahasa Inggris dengan cara yang menyenangkan menggunakan metode e-learning yang digunakan pada era ini ya, terutama saat pandemi seperti ini. Selanjutnya saya ingin menyampaikan rasa terima kasih yang sebesar-besarnya kepada seluruh pihak yang sudah berpartisipasi menjadi bagian dari acara webinar hari ini, utamanya kepada seluruh panitia ya, yang sudah bekerja keras agar berjalannya acara ini dengan lancar dan sukses. Terima kasih semua ya. Selain itu, kami memohon maaf sebesar-besarnya apabila ada masih banyak kekurangan dan kesalahan dalam pelaksanaan acara webinar pendidikan hari ini. Demikian ya yang dapat saya sampaikan. Kurang lebihnya mohon maaf. Semoga acara webinar kita pagi ini berjalan dengan sukses. Semangat semuanya. Sekian. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Acara selanjutnya adalah sambutan. Sambutan yang pertama dari Ketua Umum HMPS TBI. Kepada Saudara Muhammad Fikri Raihan, dipersilakan.
Baik, terima kasih moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Assalatu wassalamu ala asyrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi washabbihi ajmain. Amma ba'd. Pertama-tama marilah kita panjatkan kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa taala yang telah menghadirkan kita dalam acara webinar pendidikan virtual ini, karena dengan kehendak Allah kita dapat hadir dalam webinar pendidikan webinar pendidikan HMPS TBI dengan keadaan yang sehat walafiat. Alhamdulillah. Yang terhormat Ketua Jurusan Bahasa Fakultas Tarbiyah dan Ilmu Keguruan, Ibu Rostanti Toba MPD. Yang terhormat Ketua Program Studi Bahasa Inggris dan Pembina HMPS TBI, Ibu Nadia Syahya MPD MTSol. Yang terhormat Ibu Hijatul Komaria MPD. Yang terhormat seluruh petinggi dan dosen-dosen UINSI Samarinda. Yang terhormat seluruh delegasi dari SEMA, DEMA, HMPS Fakultas Tarbiyah dan Ilmu Keguruan. Serta tidak lupa pula yang saya hormati seluruh peserta webinar yang telah hadir pada acara pagi hari ini. Saya selaku Ketua Umum HMPS TBI UINSI Samarinda. Saya selaku Ketua Umum HMPS TBI UINSI Samarinda sekaligus penanggung jawab ingin mengucapkan terima kasih yang sebesar-besarnya atas partisipasi seluruh peserta yang berkenan meluangkan waktunya dalam acara webinar HMPS TBI ini. Semoga ilmu yang kita dapat mampu bermanfaat bagi kita semua dan orang sekitar. Dengan demikian itu saja yang saya sampaikan, kurang lebihnya saya mohon maaf karena kesempurnaan hanyalah milik Allah Subhanahu wa taala. Wabillahi taufik wal hidayah. Wallahul muwaffiq ila aqwamit thoriq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sambutan yang keempat dari Ibu Rostanti Toba MPD selaku Ketua Jurusan Bahasa. Kepada beliau kami persilahkan.
Baik, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
Saya di sini mewakili dekan ya, karena beliau sedang sakit, jadi saya diminta untuk menyampaikan sambutan sekaligus membuka acara kalau tidak salah ya.
Ya, Bu.
Oke, terima kasih. Pertama-tama saya ucapkan terima kasih banyak untuk semua panitia dan tim HMPS TBI atas kerja kerasnya sudah bisa menghadirkan sebuah acara webinar pendidikan khusus untuk program studi TBI tahun ini. Walaupun mungkin ada beberapa dari luar Quincy ya pesertanya, alhamdulillah banyak yang dari luar sepertinya kalau saya lihat. Kemudian terima kasih banyak juga untuk para audiens yang sudah bersedia hadir, meluangkan waktu hari liburnya untuk menghadiri seminar ini, webinar ini. Juga kalau memang ada dosen-dosen yang hadir di sini, ada tidak ya sebagai partisipannya di sini? Saya tidak terlalu perhatikan satu persatu. Terima kasih kalau yang ini sudah join di acara ini ya. Walaupun pesertanya masih 88 ini belum sampai 100 nih. Tapi mungkin nanti akan bertambah setelah ini ya. Kemudian selanjutnya terima kasih banyak untuk speaker kita Ibu Hijatul Komariah. Saya dapat bocoran ini sohibnya Ibu Nadia ini ya. Sudah bisa kita tebak dari gelarnya ya, MPD MTSL. Saya udah nembak nih pasti temannya Bu Nadia ini ya. Terima kasih sudah meluangkan waktu untuk mau menjadi narasumber di acara webinar pendidikan kita hari ini. Kemudian harapan saya semoga webinar ini akan lebih memberi motivasi bagi para mahasiswa kita yang di masa pandemi ini kita belum bisa jumpa tatap muka, entah nanti apakah di semester depan pertemuan tatap muka itu bisa terlaksana, mengingat sekarang apalagi saat-saat ini ya, kita tidak bisa ada larangan-larangan dan batasan-batasan lagi bahwa ternyata pandemi ini masih berlangsung dan semakin parah sepertinya saat ini ya. Kita lihat saja, tapi sementara ini nikmati saja dulu liburan kalian ya. Karena ini masa liburan, kita ketemu lagi di semester berikutnya itu nanti insya Allah di bulan tanggal 1 September kalau nggak salah, perkuliahan semester baru akan dimulai ya. Jadi dinikmati dulu liburannya, semoga pandemi berlalu dan kita bisa ketemu di semester depan ya. Dan harapan saya webinar ini bisa membantu kalian merefresh otak, menambah ilmu ya, dengan adanya informasi yang akan disampaikan oleh speaker kita nanti. Dan pesan saya, stay safe and healthy ya guys, jangan sampai tidak perlu melakukan hal yang tidak penting, tidak usah keluar rumah ya, just stay at home. Oke, saya kasih pantun nih ya. Enjoy vacation in Grand Canyon, bringing many foods doesn't matter. Welcome to this event to all audience and hopefully you'll enjoy the webinar. Okay, now let's open the the webinar by together by saying basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Semoga lancar, sukses, dan jaringan tidak ada masalah ya.
Amin.
Karena kalau kita acara seperti ini kan jaringan itu yang utama.
Iya.
Oke, enjoy your webinar. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih banyak kepada Ibu Rosanti Toba yang telah membuka acara ini. Acara selanjutnya adalah pembacaan doa yang akan dibawakan oleh Saudara Aditya Dwi Rianto. Waktu dan topik silakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Baiklah teman-teman, sebelum kita mulai acara webinar pada pagi ini, marilah kita sama-sama memanjatkan doa agar acara pada pagi hari ini diberi kelancaran dan semoga ilmu yang kita dapat menjadi berkah dunia walaupun dan di akhirat. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin hamdan yuwafi ni'amahu wa yukafi mazidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu wa lakal syukru kama yang bagi li jalali wajhikal karim wa azimi sultanik. Allahumma sholli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma ighfir lana dzunubana wa liwalidina wa limasyayikhina wa liman wa li jami'il muslimina wal muslimat wal mu'minina wal mu'minat ala ya minhum wal amwat. Allahumma inna nas'aluka salamatan fid dini wad dunya wal akhirah wa afiatan fil jasad wa ziyadatan fil ilmi wa barakatan fil rizqi wa taubatan qoblal maut wa rahmatan indal maut wa maghfiratan ba'dal maut wa najatan minan nar wal afwa indal hisab bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Rabbana hab lana min azwajina wa dzurriyyatina qurrata a'yun waj'alna lil muttaqina imama. Rabbana auzi'na an ashkura ni'mataka allati an'amta 'alaina wa 'ala walidayna wa an na'malan sholihan tardahu wa adkhilna bi rahmatika fi ibadakas sholihin. Rabbana la tu'akhidna in nasina aw akhtana. Rabbana wa la tahmil 'alaina isran kama hamaltahu 'alal ladzina min qablina. Rabbana wa la tuhammilna ma la taqata lana bi wa'fu 'anna waghfir lana warhamna anta maulana fansurna 'alal qaumil kafirin. Rabbana zalamna anfusana wa illam taghfir lana wa tarhamna lanakunanna minal khasirin. Rabbana taqabbal minna innaka antas samiul alim wa tub 'alaina innaka antat tawwabur rahim. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Walhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Amin amin ya rabbal alamin. Akhirnya kita telah sampai di penghujung acara. Marilah kita tutup acara ini dengan mengucap hamdalah. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Akhir kata, saya ucapkan mohon maaf sebesar-besarnya apabila ada kesalahan kata pada penyampaian saya sebagai MC pada hari ini. Acara selanjutnya saya serahkan kepada moderator, kepada Saudari Nuril Husna. Saya persilahkan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Wabarakatuh.
Sebelumnya, saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada MC yang telah memberikan saya kesempatan untuk bisa melanjutkan acara pada hari ini. Terima kasih juga untuk pemateri kita hari ini, yaitu Miss Hijatul Komariah, MPD MTSOL, yang telah meluangkan waktunya untuk mengisi acara kita pada pagi hari ini. Izinkan saya pula untuk mewakili seluruh panitia pada acara kali ini untuk mengucapkan terima kasih atas partisipasinya dalam acara webinar kali ini dengan tema Learning English in a Fun Way by Using E-Learning Method. Baik, perkenalkan, saya Nurul Husna, mahasiswi Tadris Bahasa Inggris semester 2 FTIK, Universitas Islam Negeri Sultan Haji Muhammad Idris, selaku moderator yang akan menjembatani diskusi pada pagi hari ini. Akhir-akhir ini banyak sekali terdengar keluhan dari para siswa-siswi sekolah dasar, SMP, bahkan SMA atau SMK yang bosan akan pembelajaran e-learning. Dan tidak hanya siswa-siswi nih, saya yakin teman-teman mahasiswa juga sudah merasa jenuh akan pembelajaran e-learning ini yang mana telah kita jalani selama lebih dari 1 tahun. Lalu bagaimana sih caranya agar kita bisa mendapatkan pelajaran yang menyenangkan dan mudah untuk kita terima? Perkenankan saya untuk memperkenalkan pemateri kita yang luar biasa pada hari ini terlebih dulu. Beliau adalah Miss Hijatul Komariah, MPD MTSOL. Beliau berasal dari kota yang dikenal orang dengan sebutan Serambi Mekah, tepatnya pada Jalan Bran Bintang Lama, Sot Kenung, Desa Tumpok Lampoh, Indonesia, Aceh Besar, Provinsi Aceh. Berikut adalah nomor telepon beliau, 0852 7727 5119. Beliau mengenyam pendidikannya pada tahun 2005 hingga 2010 untuk mendapatkan gelar Bachelor of Education di English Language Education and Pedagogy. Tepat pada tahun 2008, beliau mendapat beasiswa oleh Fulbright Aminat Jakarta untuk kursus di University of Arkansas, Fayetteville, Arkansas, USA. Layaknya dermaga yang selalu kering walau sudah dihujani air setiap hari, beliau berhasil melewati masa studinya lagi pada tahun 2012 hingga 2014 untuk mendapatkan gelar Master of Education di English Language Education. Tidak sampai di sana, teman-teman. Beliau juga mendapatkan gelar MTSOL pada tahun 2013 dengan mengenyam pendidikan hanya dengan 1 tahun saja, yaitu dari tahun 2012 hingga 2013. Wow, sungguh latar belakang pendidikan yang sangat menginspirasi ya, teman-teman. Baik, kita lanjutkan lagi, yaitu latar belakang pekerjaan dan pengalaman beliau sendiri. Yang pertama adalah beliau telah menjadi dosen pada tahun 2013 hingga sekarang di Universitas Islam Negeri Araniri, tepatnya di Banda Aceh. 2 tahun kemudian, tanpa meninggalkan pekerjaan pertamanya, beliau menjadi dosen di Bina Bangsa Gen Sempena College, Banda Aceh. Pada tahun berikutnya, yaitu 2016 hingga sekarang, beliau menjadi editorial director di jurnal International Pardon, dan 2 tahun terakhir, beliau telah menjadi editor-in-chief di College of Teacher Training and Education Science Bina Bangsa Gen Sempena, Banda Aceh. Beliau juga mendapatkan penghargaan TESOL oleh Faculty of Education and Arts Deakin University Australia dan menerima penghargaan lagi oleh ILSP, oleh Fulbright USA dan Aminef Indonesia, dan mendapatkan penghargaan PKBI dari Ministry of Research Technology and Higher Education Indonesia. Bagaimana teman-teman tentang latar belakang beliau? Bisa untuk membuat kita insecure dengan apa yang telah kita lakukan di umur kita yang sekarang ini? Tapi tidak apa-apa, kita semua punya jalan masing-masing dan semua akan terbalaskan dengan apa yang telah kita usahakan. Oke, tak kenal maka tak tahu ya teman-teman. Jadi izinkan saya sebagai perwakilan dari teman-teman panitia lainnya ingin mengenal seluruh peserta webinar kali ini. Mungkin teman-teman bisa mengisi nama dan instansi masing-masing di kolom chat yang telah tersedia ya. Ada Fuza Furil dari UIN Malang. Wah, ternyata ada yang dari luar Pulau Kalimantan ya. Ada Nurul Laili dari Nganjuk. Ada Faiza Nadila, ada Siti Rosdiana, halo. Ya, terima kasih atas respon positifnya teman-teman. Mohon maaf Miss, sebelum menyampaikan materi, saya izin untuk pemaparan materi hari ini diberlangsungkan selama kurang lebih 50 menit dan dilanjutkan dengan sesi tanya jawab selama kurang lebih 15 menit. Selama pemateri menyampaikan materinya pada hari ini, peserta hanya boleh bertanya melalui kolom chat yang telah tersedia pada fitur Zoom. Dengan arti lain, audiens dilarang menyalakan mikrofonnya selama pemateri memberikan materinya hari ini. Tanpa menunggu lama-lama lagi, mari kita simak langsung penjelasan dari Misi Jatul Komariah MPD MTSOL. Kepada beliau dipersilahkan.
Okay. Alright. Oke, terima kasih banyak atas waktunya. Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, so thank you so much for this opportunity. Can you hear my voice clearly?
Yes,
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I'm so sorry because I'm a bit under the weather today, so my voice is a bit, like a frog. All right, so I would like to say thank you for all the committee that has invited me to be in this wonderful webinar, and it's such an honor to me to be here in this community where we can share. I don't think that I will share a lot of things, but surely we can have a discussion after that. All right. So I would also like to thanks to Bu Rostanti Toba, all right, and also Bu Nadia Syaya. That's also my friends, and also all the committee and all the audiences. All right. Without further ado, we are going to start with our presentation. Okay. Do I need to share my on-screen or the committee? Because the committee already asked the... Okay, thank you so much. All right, yes, thank you so much. All right, I was told that I'm going to give a presentation or maybe sharing the material about learning English in a fun learning method. I make it a bit different from the topic that was given to me. But I think I'm not going to share a lot of things about the e-learning method because we have known that e-learning method nowadays, especially during the pandemic, basically we deal with three kinds of e-learning method where we have synchronous, asynchronous, and blended learning. But I would like to share more about because it's English department. I'm also an English language teacher, so maybe you are going to share more about how to learn in a fun way. Okay, so later when you have question, you can you can ask or maybe share your own thought related to this. All right, can you move to the next slide, please? All right, so I would like to start what actually fun learning. So what we have to understand, all right, so I will mix the language. Sorry, because I was told also there are a lot of participants from public also, not only from English department. Okay, so I would like to mix the language later on. Alright. So yang pertama itu ada learning must satisfy our needs. So when we call it a fun learning, pembelajaran harusnya bisa memenuhi kepuasan kita gitu ya, kebutuhan kita. So when we say it's fun learning, so the learning should fulfill actually or facilitate our needs. Then it will make us fun in learning, and also learning should be interesting and motivating. Jadi pembelajaran itu harusnya atau belajar itu harusnya sesuatu yang bisa membuat kita tertarik ya dan termotivasi. So how it will be like, we will find way to make it really fun if we have such maybe the learning environment is interesting and comfortable, so it make us motivated to learn. And then learning should feel curiosity. So learning supposed to make us eager, want to find anything that we want to know. So it will make us like, okay, I want to find more and I want to know more about something. And again, learning must be challenging but not exhausting and intimidating. Nah, di sini belajar harusnya memang challenging. Challenging means it's not really, simple. It's not simple. What I mean here is it's supposed to be higher than the input that we got. So maybe yang dari English department ini tahu dengan teorinya Creation bahwa input itu harusnya a higher one level higher than the learning should be more one level higher than the input given. So it must be challenging. Nah, ketika challenging, we will learn something. But if it is only, really, really easy and simple, probably you will learn nothing because you already know actually. But we have to remember that learning supposed to be should not supposed to be exhausting or tiring, because when you feel like tiring, it will affect our psychology and also make us maybe don't want to learn, or maybe stop to learn. And also, learning should make a balance of what we like to do and what we are good at. So di sini belajar harusnya bisa mengimbangi apa yang kita sukai dan apa yang sebetulnya kita bisa gitu ya. So it's a kind of like learning can make us always have a healthy addiction. I mean, to learn. So it's a kind of healthy addiction when you keep learning. So it can make you really want to learn, and then you also want to learn because you are, good at something, and then you want to improve that day by day or time by time. So learning, it will be, a really fun learning for you. All right. So I think those are that what we call fun learning, because fun learning means
this meeting is being recorded.
A really enjoyable learning. So something that make you comfortable, something that make you really interesting in learning, it must be fun learning. So when you feel fun, you will learn more. All right, can you move to next slide, please? Okay, next slide. Okay. to the next slide.
Mohon maaf, Miss. Laptopnya lagi agak bermasalah. Nggak responding laptopnya. Sebentar.
All right, no problem. Take your time, guys. Okay, then. Yes. So, like I told you before, learning should supposed to be fun, because when we have, you know, like a fun situation, a fun environment, so we'll learn more. Here is also that I call this one. I mean, I was inspired from Dr. Willie Renandia. I think he's a really good model in teaching English nowadays. So I was inspired by his quote, like, no fun, no gain. It's not no pain, no gain, because learning is not a pain thing. Learning is supposed to be fun. So when we feel like it's really fun and enjoyable, so we can learn more. All right. So here, what I got from the fun learning technique here is, when we say it's fun, it must be supposed to be like easy, interesting things. And here I would like to, like English has 4 skills, right? We have reading, we have writing, listening, and speaking. So we're supposed to make it easy and interesting for all of the skills. And here, let's see, it's become, fun learning when we have something like reading material, an interesting reading material that we can enjoy to read. It's not a hard reading material, but it's called easy and interesting reading material. So when we can, spend our time to read those easy and interesting reading material, we will feel enjoyable, and of course it will improve our English proficiency. So here is for the reading skills, but we also can make it for listening skill and also for other skills like speaking and writing. Okay, so if you, for example, from an English department or from any other department, or that you really want to learn English and improve your English, you can do this technique by reading easy and interesting reading material. And I was told that if you can practice it for 6 months to 1 year, regularly by reading this easy and interesting reading material, you suppose improve your English proficiency. And then it will also similar to other skill like listening and speaking. So for listening, you can also listen to the audiobook or English book. I think you can do this like also the regular for 6 months to 1 year, and you can spend like 15 minutes a day to read or to listen to the audiobook, and of course it will improve your English. Jadi teknik ini bisa dipraktekkan ya teman-teman semuanya. Jadi so you can do some practice by reading the English material, for example, like short story or maybe novel, an easy one. I don't call it hard one, because when it is hard, you probably will stop to read. So find the easy one, and then later on, when you are familiar with those easy things, and you can add to the next level. I mean, maybe harder level. And also, don't forget to practice the skills. I mean, the language. Practice the language. That's also the technique that you can do to improve your English proficiency. Of course, it in a fun way. You can use the language not only about how do you practice with somebody else, but also you can do it by yourself, like writing something, or maybe like maybe recording yourself, and then you can have a look at that after you record and see, maybe you can notice your own mistake, um, or maybe there is something that you need to improve. So I think now it's really easy when you can do like a lot of uh, like vlogging. Also, you can record yourself, and you make a video of yourself practicing your English, and then maybe share to your friends, and your friends can see that one and give feedback to you. So it's also a kind of like fun learning technique. All right. All right, next. Okay. Okay, yes, thank you. Yeah, this slide. Okay, I would like also to share to you some habits from a very successful language learners. So ini adalah beberapa kebiasaan yang dilakukan oleh a successful or a good language learner. I got this from Dr. Unsong and Dr. Willie Renandia. So I think these habits are really good to practice and to be your daily habits every day in learning English. So I got the first one is input. Of course, when we learn English, we need to have like input. So we immerse ourselves in input. Like for example, you love to watch English movie or animation movie, so you notice the language. You learn a lot of things. I mean, you provide yourself with those input, maybe animation movie, or maybe English songs, or maybe sitcom, or any other things. It's a kind of input. So you are familiar with those input, and then after that you can do like you notice the language feature from those input. It's worth to do when you watch, for example, a movie. You can notice the language used by the actor or actress, and then you do some practice of maybe pronouncing, and then learning to use that in your daily conversation. So it will be very, very good things to do to improve your English. Okay, jadi kita notice language features-nya, bahasa apa yang digunakan. Of course, it will be different. Kalau misalnya bahasa di buku, sometimes it will be really different. But we got this authentic language. We call this authentic language because that those are the language that they use daily and in a real conversation. So kita bisa notice itu, and then we practice that one. We bring it to our conversation and we apply this one. All right. And then interaction. So interaction here means when you are supposed to have like communication with some people. And here you can do that with your friends or maybe your teacher to interact with English. Means here it's not only about communication, but also some like written communication. You can interact with that one. and then output. So here is I make a note a bit like practice and use the language. So you are eager to produce the language that you have learned. Sorry. So you are eager to practice and to use the language a lot when you have, from the input that you get, from the way that you do in noticing the language features and also the interaction with those material, and then you are eager to practice. It's also a good habit. All right. And then you also have a dream or a vision. Here I call it visi. Jadi kita punya visi after learning the language, that someday probably you are going to be a news anchor or maybe an English teacher because you are studying in the English department. So you have such a dream. You want to be a really good English teacher, professional English teacher, or maybe a professional news anchor reading the language in English. So you should have this vision because it will make your learning means like really meaningful because you have the target that you are going to reach. And then I got some other habits, and this is from Dr. Willie. It says that about gritty. So it contains a passion and perseverance. Perseverance means sustained effort for a period of time. So in learning, you also should have passion. You also want to do that you maintain yourself to do that in a certain period of time. I mean, you regularly practicing that. It's also one of a successful learner habits in language learners habits, because when you have a passion and also you invest yourself, you invest your time to learn, so it means you will get something, right? So passion is more like your eagerness, your willingness in learning, and then perseverance is when you can maintain those passion and you keep learning in a certain period of time, so it will give really good output. And then you also need to have growth mindset. Here is you always need to have pikiran yang terus berkembang, tidak hanya so I can't understand English, so I want to stop learning. Jadi jangan ada pikiran seperti itu. I cannot do this, I cannot do that because English is so difficult, so I don't want to do this. It's not a good mindset in learning. So you should have a growth mindset. Here is you are always open to learn new things. You are always open to try new thing and keep pushing yourself to try those maybe learning techniques or other things. You are also open to know some new strategy in learning and keep practicing that. Don't always judge yourself that maybe English is really, really hard for me. I'm not really good at that. I don't want to learn anymore. So it's a kind of here is poor self-image where you are having lack of self-esteem or maybe lack of confidence in learning. So don't be like that because it will inhibit yourself to learn the language. So again, you should have a growth mindset. And then you should also know that in learning, making mistake is okay. Mistakes are friends for a successful language learner. So don't be afraid of making mistake. Again, I always telling my student that English is not your language. It's somebody else's language. So making mistakes is okay. All right. It's not our language, but we learn this language. So when you make mistake, when you do a lot of errors in while you're learning the language, there is no problem with that. Okay, and then you also need to maintain your local identity. Here is somebody maybe told you that if you want to speak English, you should sound like British, you should sound like Americans, you should have American accent or British accent. Well, for me, for me myself, I would like to say that no, maybe you learned more about how the language, how English language is learned in many parts of the world. So maybe you are familiar with the word Englishes. Jadi tidak masalah kalau misalnya when we speak we are not sounding like American, but as long as our conversation partner understand us, even though with our own accent, there will be okay. So no problem with that. English is not for American, English is not for British. Many people use English, all right? And then the last one is you should have a powerful strategy. And here I say that the strategy is shadowing technique. Shadowing technique is a kind of like technique that you can do in practicing your language or English. The technique involves like maybe you listen to the language input and then you listen again and try to read along while you listen. For example, misalnya ketika kalian nonton animation movie, for example, you listen to the way how the actor speak. Jadi Anda dengar si aktornya berbicara dalam bahasa Inggris, coba didengar dan kemudian read along. Ya, Anda coba, maybe there will be like English subtitle in that. So you read along how the actor talk about about that languages, about that phrases or maybe sentences. So you read along and then do it again and again until you are familiar to say that words, and then you use that word. So it's a kind of like shadowing technique. We try to mirror, we try to imitate the others. I mean, here is the authentic resource, because when the actor or the actress speak in English, of course they will use like really authentic language, and the language are the languages that they are using while speaking in the movie are something that are really daily things. So you can do this technique over and over again until you are familiar with those phrases, those sentences. Okay, so those are I call it it's a 10 habits of successful language learner. Jadi ini boleh dipraktekkan ketika Anda belajar bahasa Inggris. So get familiar with all of those terms and then try to practice. Okay, maybe next slide. Okay, sorry. All right, I would like also to share my learning experience. Telling about my experience, I'm learning English when I was in junior high school, right? We have English subject at school. But again, English is really hard to learn. Jadi saya juga merasa bahwa bahasa Inggris itu sangat susah awalnya ya. Ketika belajar bahasa Inggris waktu di sekolah junior high school, SMP. So it's really hard to pronounce the languages. So I think it's impossible for me to learn English. But again, teacher always inspiring me in learning English. I was inspired when I always amazed of seeing someone pronounce the word correctly in English. So I want to learn. something that really trigger you to want to learn because you see something wow, right? But when I was in senior high school, English is something that you really should have. You possess. You should have an English skill. You should speak English. So because all people try to speak English, and they are really good at it, and you also need to improve yourself. So I learned English. Again, here I learn a lot by reading English short story, even though I don't know some meanings, but I always love to read English short story. And here, when I don't know the meaning, dictionary is always my best friend. So don't be lazy to check the words that you don't know the meaning. If you find that the word is really hard, just highlight the words and then find the meaning later on in your dictionary. So dictionary is your best friend when you learn English by yourself. All right, and then what I do then is to improve my pronunciation. Again, here I read a lot. I read those short story in a really loud voice. I want to know myself. I want to hear the language by myself, whether I speak it correctly or not. And then I always refer to the dictionary to check whether my pronunciation is correct or not. So then I keep doing this. I invest my time to learn English every day. Maybe my mistake was I don't really spend a regular time a regular time every day in learning English, but again I always learn that in a in a certain amount of time, like maybe an hour a day, 30 minutes a day, but it's not always like really regular, like 15 minutes a day or maybe 30 minutes a day. But I will spend a lot of my time in learning and doing those techniques every day to improve my English. I also love watching animation and imitate the words that the actor speak in the movie. So here is my pronunciation drill technique, and also I can use the language. I always speak by myself, like doing a lot of mime uh, all the time because I don't really have friend to talk in English. So I do this by watching animation and imitate what the actor and actress speak the language. So I will try to repeat and use the language. Maybe the intonation. I even imitate the intonation that the speaker use. Um, Again, I also love to learn about grammar. Yes, banyak orang bilang bahwa belajar grammar is boring. You learn a lot of formula, but again, I love grammar a lot. So what I do in the meantime, while in my leisure time, I always love to do grammar and vocabulary exercises. And here, I even in my textbook or English textbook, or maybe I try to browse some websites and do maybe quiz online and check my grammar and vocabulary. I will do that. But at that time, in my senior high school time, internet is not really popular. But yes, people are starting to use the internet to learn, and I also try to get some useful advantage from the internet by some doing some practice online. And then practice and practice, that's the keywords in learning English or in learning anything. You need practice and practice. So what I do here is speak in front of the mirror, because I told you I don't have any friend to practice my English. So what I do is speak in front of the mirror. Maybe it's really cliche that when people say ngomong aja di cermin gitu ya, but it's really worth for me Jadi ini sangat-sangat give an effect to me. Jadi I do some practice in front of the mirror. I talk for like 3 minutes a day in front of the mirror, or maybe 5 minutes a day about a certain topic, of course, and try to speak in English. And then never get embarrassed even when making mistake. At the first time, maybe I feel like a kind of embarrassing, or maybe I feel like really shy when I make some mistake. But again, after several times, I think people also learning. I'm learning and people learning. So no worries about the mistake. Don't be shy about making the mistake. When you make a mistake, when people laugh at you, maybe you also can laugh together with them. But I think it's not really big problem when when somebody laugh at you, maybe your friends laugh at you because you make mistake. But again, I think they are also learning. I'm also learning. So I don't really care at that time after all. And then always refer to the source or expert. Here I always refer to the teacher. I mean, if I find something really really interrupting me, I mean, I'm curious of something, I will ask my teacher, or maybe try to find it in a book or maybe dictionary to get the answer. So the source or maybe the expert is also something that you have to rely on when you learn the language. And also teacher can give maybe the advice about the language that you use, or maybe they can suggest some other things, or maybe giving you advice while applying some techniques in learning. And then use any chance to use the English. I mean, here is practice. When you have time to practice the language, just practice. Or when you have time to speak with your teacher in English, just speak. Jadi di sini manfaatkan kesempatan yang ada untuk mempraktikkan bahasanya, bahasa Inggris. So always practice and try to speak with every people that really supportive in in maybe having such kind of engagement and interaction with you. Okay, so those are my learning experience and learning language. Again, when I said like it's 6 months practicing, yes, after 6 months practicing those technique and also learn, I can speak English, even though maybe it's not really in advanced level, but again, I can speak English from, I know nothing about English, and then I can speak English. So regular time in practicing, or maybe, keep investing your time in learning English, spend a proper time, it will give a really good achievement. All right, next, please. Okay, now e-learning. Maybe you are really familiar with e-learning nowadays because, because of the COVID and the pandemic, we cannot learn face to face. But I would like to make a really brief definition of e-learning. So e-learning is something that, using technology or maybe computer based here in facilitating us in learning. So I got this definition from Oxford Home Studies Center. So e-learning is computer-based educational tool or system that enable us to learn anywhere and at any time. So it's supposed to be that e-learning can make us learn better. Of course, from that definition, we can know that e-learning can make us learn anywhere at any time, means like it's really flexible. So e-learning is supposed to make our learning better, right? So But now we know that people have a problem with e-learning. A lot of things happen. We don't really have those connection. I mean, like with the technology, so we cannot make learning run well. So it's what happened now. But again, e-learning is supposed to help you learn better. Here, the learning delivery is through digital resources, of course, because it involves technology in it. So the process of the learning process is using those sources, and then it bridges the distance and learning circumstance. So, like what we did today, like what we do right now, you can learn something in a really distant way, but um, everything can happen with these e-learning, and then it tries to fit the learning style. Yes, e-learning can make us really adjust with the learning style that we really are comfortable with. So um, it's I think it's the benefits of e-learning where it can fit our needs, our learning style, and then it allows us to have different types of material. Yes, of course, we can access a lot of material easily online, and the source even more authentic than the textbook. So we can get really, really, I mean, a kind of like numerous resources from uh, e-learning, and then it is faster, cheaper, and better. I think when it says faster, yes, it's really fast. You can even uh, don't need to spend more time in doing so, because you only need to click, right? You need to click, you connect with the internet connection, and everything's happen. And cheaper here means, of course, when we say it's cheaper, because we don't need to go to the places to learn. Even when you are in Indonesia and then you want to learn overseas, you can do it online, and so of course it will be cheaper. But again, when we say cheaper right now to our student and our teacher at school, of course it's not cheaper. We are still struggling with the internet connection. We're still struggling with the internet quota. You need to buy something to connect. So I think it's not cheaper for us here in a real life. And also, e-learning is supposed to make our learning better, because you can easily find the material. You can also learn from the expert. I think it's better. And then you have to remember that um, it's not all things that can make our learning better through e-learning. We have to remember there are also some detrimental things or disadvantages from e-learning. The next slides, please. Yes, because e-learning requires our own self-motivation. We are having a lot of material. We can have a really easy access to the material. But again, if we don't have our own passion and self-motivation and learning, of course, it doesn't really run well. So it needs self-motivation. Jadi butuh motivasi ya dari diri sendiri untuk belajar. Again, karena di sini we don't really meet the teacher face to face. We don't really meet the expert face to face. So again, we have to make ourselves passionate in learning and have motivated to learn. And it also doesn't provide practical training, of course, because practical training is a physical way, a physical learning where we can see the teacher, we can meet in a real time and face to face. So we don't get that in e-learning, of course. And also it misses the face to face aspect of learning. Yes, when we say it's e-learning, we don't really interact face to face with the teacher or with our friends, with the other student. And these three things are missing from e-learning. All right. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so I want to maybe asking a little bit, can e-learning actually improve our English proficiency? Of course, yes, if you can make it happen right. First, you should have like those habits that I told you before. You should apply those habits, you should practice those habits, and then you also need to have your own motivation to learn. I think it is going to happen. I mean, you can improve yourself by through e-learning. So we have to remember this maybe for the teacher later on. For English department student, you are going to be a teacher. You also need to know that when we learn, I mean, when we apply the e-learning in our classroom, we should have like motivation and engagement. Again, motivation is the key thing here, because um, you know, in e-learning, sometimes we don't really um, care about those aspects, because we are surrounded by a lot of material with the easy connection to get the material. But again, if we are lacking of having those motivation and engagement, so I think it doesn't really work well. And then personalization, we have to make it to our needs. I mean, we have to adjust with our needs, our flexibility. When we apply e-learning in the classroom, so we also need to adjust those things. And we also need to timely feedback, because when we apply e-learning, sometimes we cannot have like a real interaction with the student or maybe with the teacher. So feedback here, timely feedback is really important, because in learning, feedback is also the key thing. Feedback can give really positive benefits and also negative benefits if we don't do that in a right way. And then cooperative learning, we should remember that when we do e-learning, it's not really individual learning, but we should also maintain cooperative learning. There are a lot of technology now, like Zoom. We can have like breakout room, or maybe some conferences like this one. So there are a lot of facilities provided by technology. And then authentic learning. Of course, e-learning can provide really authentic learning, because we get the real material. We can use the source to get really real, something past offered by Ruth. Yes. Okay. All right. So authentic learning, of course, e-learning can provide that better than maybe face-to-face learning. And then we have to remember that e-learning, of course, like I told you before, there are some methods to apply in e-learning, like flipped learning and synchronous learning, where you can learn it first and then discuss again online. I think when we say that, can e-learning improve English? Of course, I think it's not only, I think e-learning can even make it better to learn English. So what we have to do is, again, our passion. We have to have a proper time to invest in learning, like perseverance. I think it's a really good thing to do while you apply e-learning and learning English. Okay, next, please. So, when we learn by using e-learning, of course, we engage with the technology. So we have to know that e-learning even make our learning better if we want really to dive in it, to make it beneficial, so you can get a lot of things, more benefits from e-learning, like it involve, because e-learning involve a lot of technology and digital resources. Of course, that it provide a lot of language nutrition or language sources. So, for example, there are a lot of things that you can search online. Like you also, if you want to see a real maybe interactive talk or maybe an English talk, you can search it online, maybe search it in YouTube, and then you can find a real language there. So it provide a lot of language sources, even more than, and even it's more authentic than the textbook. So we have to also remember about the way how language is processed. It involves a lot of steps, like we are understand the input that we get, and then we notice the language, maybe by noticing the language feature and then try to use it again and again. So we have to remember those process also, and we try to make it really, really related with the technology that we are going to use. And then the language use, we can actually take a lot of benefit from learning online. We can get really good resource for reading material if we want to practice more reading, of course. And then we also can get a lot of source for speaking by improving our own speaking, by maybe visiting a certain website that provides a lot of material for speaking, and also it's for listening and other skill like writing. So again, when we use e-learning, we have to remember those things, that those technology or those digital resources really, really maybe connected or maybe suitable with our needs in learning. All right, next maybe. Next slide. We're going to an end, I guess. Yes, next slide. Okay, hello. Next slide, please. Okay, so there are a lot when we think about e-learning, is how we use. It's not only about how when we learn it through Zoom like this is e-learning. E-learning can be really, really wide by using a lot of, or maybe by visiting a lot of
The recording has stopped.
in learning English. In learning English, of course, it can also call e-learning when you use a lot of websites, or use that website for your learning every day. So again, it's also learning through e-learning. So e-learning is not only about what is blended learning, what is asynchronous or synchronous learning. So I actually think when you try to use the technology in learning, I will call it e-learning. Okay, those are some websites that you can refer to. You can learn, you can improve. You want to improve your listening skill, you can visit those websites, or maybe other websites. I can say that it's not really those websites that is not merely
This meeting is being recorded.
But you can find many other websites online, and you can do some practices or quizzes, take quizzes, or maybe even practices, record your voice, and then your voice can be checked, and so on. So there are many sources online. What you need to do is only make yourself motivated to learn, and then find this website and then do some practicing, engage with a lot of input, and then try to use the language more often. So it will be really, really good achievement later on. You will produce a good English language. You will have a really good output. um, Again, it's a kind of like persistent. You are going to do that in a regular time. uh, I think those effort then will really worth your time. Okay, so I think we are going to end, um, come to an end of my presentation, and later on we're going to discuss more. So I would like to summarize several things here. Can we go to summary, please? Okay, so let's do some summary together. So e-learning needs self-motivation. Of course, this is the key thing, that in using e-learning, when we learn through e-learning, of course, self-motivation is the key thing, or the core thing. And then do the habit of a good learner that I told you
The
before.
recording has stopped. This meeting is being recorded.
Always engage with the input, interact with the language, and then practice the language. Always have passion in doing, in learning, and in investing yourself to learn. And also, of course, use your powerful strategy in learning. Maybe the strategy will be, you will suit with the certain strategy. If you think that is really, really comfortable with you, and then you can keep using the strategy. But if you find that the other strategy is better, then keep doing, practicing yourself.
The recording has stopped.
By applying the strategy. And then always refer to the source and expert. Again here, sometimes when we keep learning by ourselves, like self-learning is good. It means you are motivated to learn. But again, we need also to refer to the source and expert. Here is to get the input. The sometimes we need really, really comprehensible input from the expert. And then in this case, of course, you can refer to your teacher, you can talk to your friends, and other people. All right. And then learning a language is a matter of practice. Again, I think even when we learn other things, practicing is the key thing. But in the language, I think is the big thing to do. So practice. Always remember that practice makes perfect. Of course, if you keep practicing, of course you will get a really good output. So practice is the key thing. And then do regular or well-timed investment in learning. Like I told you, if you keep doing, for example, keep reading, practicing your reading for 15 minutes a day for 6 months till 1 year, of course, you will have a lot of vocabularies. You will see a really great improvement. You will understand the reading better, and of course, it will give a wonderful achievement. And then technology is learners and teachers' best friend. Of course, in learning makes the learning more accessible. We are really, really easy to access the material. So just use the technology. Take some advantage from those technology and digital resources. I think these are some summaries that I can, give to you from all my presentation. And I think if you think that you don't really get with the e-learning method that I told you, but again, e-learning here, when it involves technology and some other resources, I will call this technology e-learning. So later on, if you have some question, you can discuss together. And yes, thank you so much. Yes, I'm going back to the moderator.
Baik. Mohon maaf Miss karena tadi ada sedikit kesalahan jaringan, jadi tadi sempat terkendala dalam slideshow-nya.
Okay, no problem. Yes, it happened a lot when we do e-learning like this.
Okay.
Yes.
Baik, terima kasih untuk Miss Hijatul untuk penjelasannya. Untuk peserta webinar hari ini, saya beri waktu 2 menit untuk dapat bertanya melalui kolom komentar atau dapat berinteraksi langsung kepada pemateri kita hari ini. Silakan untuk peserta yang ingin bertanya.
Okay, maybe it's not only about the question. It can be anything that you want to discuss. So it's not supposed to be question. Probably audiensnya mungkin nggak mau bertanya, tetapi mungkin mau share their thought. That will be fine.
Ya, ini ada yang bertanya, Miss. Di kolom chat saya bacakan dulu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Miftahul Jannah from UINSI Samarinda. I would like to ask a question. So we have heard that many people are capable of holding English conversation by learning courage method like from movies or songs. My question is, do you think it's necessary to be literate on as well, being able to write as well? Thank you.
Okay, so very, very nice question from Miftahul, yeah? All right. Should I answer now or maybe waiting? Nuril?
Yes, Miss.
Should I answer it directly? Yeah, probably I will answer it directly. Yes. Okay, so Miftahul Jana, that's really nice question. So yes, one of the technique in fun learning is, I think I call this watching movie. I even do it by myself. I watch a lot of animation movie to improve myself, to improve my English language proficiency. In this case, your question is about English conversation, but also we can do other things like writing. We can improve our writing as well. So I think when you are able to do like communication skill, like being able to maintain conversation in English, you can also, I think it also affects your writing. But again, maybe it needs more like practicing in writing and improving your writing skill. It's not only like while you are watching something and then can hold a certain conversation in English, then your writing also improve. Probably yes. Something that we talk is actually will go fluently in writing as well. But again, writing in English is not merely just write, but we know that we do a lot of academics writing, and we should also improve that with other technique. So I think yes, of course, it's not only about communication orally, but sometimes you also need, especially if you are an English department student, you are going to be a teacher or others. So it's good to have, you are fluent in those skills. Yes, Miftahu. I hope it can answer your question.
Baik, terima kasih Miss atas jawabannya yang sangat memuaskan. Untuk peserta yang lain mungkin yang masih ingin bertanya bisa ditulis di kolom chat atau langsung bertanya kepada Miss-nya.
Okay, yes. I think directly is better. Writing in the chat box is also good, so we can read it together. Or maybe asking in Bahasa Indonesia is okay, no problem. So it's not supposed to be in English.
Tidak harus di Inggris ya, Miss ya. Bisa juga
dalam bahasa Indonesia. Yeah, no problem. Maybe I used a lot of English. I thought I'm going to, present for English department student. So boleh dalam bahasa Indonesia juga bertanyanya.
Tanya. Ya, Miss, ini ada pertanyaan dari Fuza Furil.
Okay, yes.
I would like to ask a question. What tips to make us more excited and not easily bored when reading without any illustration or pictures?
Okay, yes, reading. Thank you so much, Fuza from UIN Malang, yeah? Okay, that's really nice question. That's what actually we are going to face when we read English material, reading material. Yes, pictures are really good in making us motivated to read. But again, how we can make it not bored when we read in English without any pictures. So maybe my own self ways in reading English to make it really motivated to read and not feel bored is I always choose the reading material that I love to read. That's for practicing, okay? For improving myself. So I always, for example, I love to read in short story in English because I love short story without any pictures in it or illustration in it. I will feel like interested to read. Or maybe you love to read something with the pictures and like comic, you can do also as well. And also, I think find something that you really love to read can make you motivated to read or excited to read, even though without any illustration or pictures in it. So, for example, if Fuza loved to read novel in English, even though there are no pictures, you will love to read the novel. Or maybe if you really love to read maybe something related to science, like National Geographic things, you can also read that without even pictures in it. So my tip probably find a proper reading material that really interested that really give much interest to you. So I think that will be really great to avoid those boredom. Okay, I think that's my tips. I hope Fuza.
Mohon maaf, Miss. Dari tadi yang penanya itu minta tolong untuk diperjelas dengan bahasa Indonesia.
Oh, boleh. Oke,
Miss.
jadi yang tadi ya, Fuza atau yang tadi, yang...
Iya, Fuza
ya. Jadi menurut saya ini Fuza ya, kalau misalnya kita mau improve reading skill kita, walaupun misalnya reading materialnya itu tidak ada picture or illustration in it, I think one way is dapatkan reading material yang memang kamu sukai. Jadi kalau misalnya kamu suka membaca short story atau novel in English, walaupun tidak ada gambar di dalamnya ataupun tidak ada sketch di dalamnya, kamu juga akan tertarik membacanya. Jadi temukan reading material yang memang membuat kamu itu interested. Jadi mungkin itu salah satu untuk menghindari bosan ya ketika membaca. Jadi kalau misalnya even kalau ada gambar pun, misalnya seperti komik or a picture, kalau kamu misalnya tidak begitu interested in reading komik, kamu juga akan bosan gitu walaupun ada gambarnya. Jadi mungkin tip dari saya adalah cari reading material yang memang interest untuk kamu. Jadi walaupun di situ nggak ada gambar, kamu juga akan tetap membacanya gitu ya. Jadi menurut saya seperti itu tipsnya.
Baik, terima kasih Miss atas jawabannya.
Baik.
Ini ada pertanyaan satu lagi dari Siti Nur Aziza. Pertanyaannya, di sini kan kebanyakan mahasiswa nih, salah satu sumber pengalaman belajar dari mahasiswa kan dari dosennya. Nah, bagaimana sih cara metode atau tips yang digunakan dosen atau pengajar dan dalam menciptakan pengalaman yang baik dan menyenangkan bagi mahasiswanya?
Oke, baik. Terima kasih banyak. Ini dari Siti Nur Azizah. Terima kasih, pertanyaan bagus sekali. Ini untuk si teacher sama lecturer-nya ya pertanyaannya. Jadi bagaimana ini usaha si dosen untuk membuat pembelajarannya menyenangkan? Oke, jadi ada banyak hal sebetulnya yang bisa dilakukan oleh dosen ini ya, guru. Nanti juga ini calon-calon guru semuanya, jadi penting sekali untuk bisa membuat pembelajaran yang menyenangkan. Ketika pembelajaran yang menyenangkan, maka si siswanya akan belajar dengan baik. Nah, sekarang gimana caranya? Kan begitu. So, mungkin caranya banyak gitu ya. Jadi ketika Anda menjadi guru atau dosen, real situation, ruang kelas itu adalah akan sangat berbeda-beda. Jadi ruang kelas itu juga yang akan membuat Anda memiliki hal-hal kreatif untuk diterapkan di dalam kelas. Karena beda kelas, beda treatmentnya, of course. Jadi mungkin cara dosennya ini untuk pembelajaran yang menyenangkan seperti yang tadi, kita harus pikirkan pembelajaran yang bermanfaat bagi si studentnya. Nah, karena ini belajar bahasa Inggris misalnya ya. Kalau belajar bahasa Inggris, supaya itu jadi meaningful, bermakna bagi si studentnya, of course, belajarnya ini untuk apa sebetulnya. Nah, dari sini, seperti yang saya bilang sebelumnya di slide, itu kita juga harus bisa membuat, give some like motivation, engage with the student, interact with the student. Jadi kadang kita juga harus bisa mengengage the student dalam pembelajaran. Jadi melibatkan si mahasiswa atau siswa ini untuk terlibat dalam proses pembelajaran. Dan lagi-lagi temukan cara-cara yang memang menarik seperti jangan monoton ya. Biasanya temukan metode-metode yang memang update atau lebih kepada seperti student center. Jadi jangan ke gurunya cuma misalnya ceramah atau kasih diskusi saja, kemudian tanpa ada like follow up teknik or step. Jadi menurut saya kalau misalnya pembelajarannya monoton, misalnya hanya memberikan materi dan ceramah, itu pasti tidak akan menyenangkan. Makanya si guru ini harus bisa memikirkan metode-metode yang berbeda. Bahkan di dalam sekali mengajar itu bisa menerapkan berbagai metode, itu kalau menurut saya ya. Jadi like teaching is like making a pizza. So if you want to make a really good pizza, you need to have several ingredients, several stages to follow. Begitu juga dalam mengajar. Jadi di situ harus ada like kita juga address ke communication skill-nya, kita juga address ke written communication-nya, kita sometimes juga bisa membuat student-nya reflect about the learning process. Jadi banyak cara ya sebetulnya yang bisa dilakukan, dan itu it depend on the classroom di mana si dosen itu mengajar dan bagaimana kebutuhan si siswanya. Lagi-lagi jangan menerapkan metode yang traditional, but yeah, sometimes traditional is okay for a certain case, tapi untuk pembelajaran yang menyenangkan pastinya si siswa ini ingin terlibat banyak. Jadi student centered learning mungkin adalah approach-nya. Tekniknya bisa bermacam-macam. Oke. Mungkin seperti itu ya.
Baik, terima kasih Miss. Selanjutnya ada pertanyaan dari Alia Agisni dari UIN Samarinda. Apabila dalam ke-10 habit of successful English language learners tersebut tidak kita terapkan secara keseluruhan, apakah kita akan tetap sukses dalam mempelajari bahasa Inggris? Terima kasih.
Oke, baik sekali Alia Agisni. Pertanyaannya, jadi itu adalah ke-10 habit yang bisa kita terapkan untuk menjadi successful language learners. Kalau misalnya ada salah satu yang tidak kita terapkan, probably mungkin ya kayak powerful strategy, kita nggak menerapkan powerful strategy yang menurut kita itu ada teknik khusus gitu untuk belajar bahasa Inggris tapi tidak kita terapkan. Ya bisa jadi ya mungkin pencapaiannya saja yang mungkin tidak begitu memuaskan, tapi bukan berarti itu tidak successful learner. Jadi sometimes Anda mendapatkan input yang baik, terimmerse dengan input yang baik, kemudian Anda notice dengan language features-nya, kemudian juga Anda interact dengan language, kemudian Anda output, itu saja sudah bisa membuat Anda mendapatkan achievement yang baik dalam belajar bahasa Inggris. Namun apabila misalnya diterapkan ke semuanya, itu kan ada step-stepnya gitu ya, ada beberapa poin-poinnya. Nah, bisa saja hanya beberapa poin yang Anda terapkan ya, tetap itu akan memberikan dampak untuk improvement bahasa Inggris Anda. Jadi menurut saya kalaupun salah satu tidak diterapkan, Anda bisa tetap menjadi successful English language learners, tapi mungkin akan sangat-sangat lebih bagus apabila kesemua step itu dilaksanakan. You will see really incredible improvement of your English proficiency. Jadi seperti itu.
Baik, terima kasih Miss. Baik, terima kasih untuk para peserta yang telah bertanya pada hari ini. Sesi pertanyaan akan saya tutup dikarenakan waktu yang telah menunjukkan hampir pukul 11.
Oke.
Untuk teman-teman peserta, diharapkan untuk tidak keluar dari Zoom terlebih dahulu dikarenakan setelah ini akan ada sesi foto bersama dan absensi kehadiran peserta webinar. Link absensi akan ditaruh panitia pada kolom chat bagi peserta yang ada di Zoom, dan bagi peserta yang berada di YouTube panitia akan menaruh link pada kolom komentar. Baik, terima kasih semuanya. Ucapkan terima kasih juga untuk pemateri kita, Miss Hijatul Komariah MPD MTSOL, yang telah memberikan materi yang insya Allah bisa kami terima dengan baik. Lalu yang terakhir, saya berikan kembali kepada pemateri untuk menyampaikan closing statement.
Okay, so yes, so it's a really great opportunity to be here. Ya, terima kasih banyak sudah mengundang saya untuk bisa berbagi dengan teman-teman semuanya dari Samarinda. Ini jauh ya, dari kalau misalnya kita pergi nih, kalau misalnya naik pesawat itu bisa seharian baru sampai. Tapi ini kita bisa bertatap muka walaupun hanya virtual gitu ya. Terima kasih banyak sudah mengundang dan semoga materi yang saya sampaikan bermanfaat dan bisa diterapkan dan bisa dijadikan suatu pelajaran yang baik itu untuk meningkatkan kemampuan bahasa Inggris Anda. Mungkin yang perlu saya tekankan di akhir adalah bahwa belajar supposed to be not intimidating. Jadi fun, kata-kata no fun no gain itu diingat bahwa ketika Anda belajar dalam environment yang sangat intimidating dan membuat Anda susah, belajar itu tidak boleh susah. Ketika susah maka tidak akan mendapatkan apa-apa, maka ciptakan atau beradalah di dalam sebagai guru nantinya pun yang English Department ini menciptakan pembelajaran yang menyenangkan dari student-studentnya sehingga bisa mendapatkan banyak pelajaran dari yang disampaikan. Kemudian, again, if you want to practice English, if you want to improve your English, just follow those habit as your investment in learning, maka akan, insya Allah itu akan Anda akan mendapatkan hasil yang baik. Again, waktunya diingatkan. Ingat kembali bahwa setiap yang dilakukan itu ya at least 6 months to 1 year. Jadi memang tidak bisa instan, tetapi kalau Anda persisten selama 6 bulan dalam melakukan semua itu, maka saya yakin hasilnya akan sangat memuaskan. Oke, mungkin itu saja. Terima kasih banyak untuk panitia ya yang sudah mengakomodasikan acara ini sehingga bisa terselenggara dengan baik. Oke, saya minta maaf apabila ada salah-salah kata dan ada pertanyaan yang mungkin tidak terjawab dengan baik. Oke, terima kasih banyak.
Baik, terima kasih Miss. Dari pemaparan materi yang luar biasa pada hari ini, kesimpulan yang dapat saya ambil yaitu sebelumnya kita harus mengetahui apa itu fun learning, yang mana diantaranya pembelajaran yang menyenangkan itu harus menarik dan memotivasi. Pembelajaran yang menyenangkan membuat kita tertarik untuk belajar, meningkatkan keterampilan kita, dan ingin tahu dan belajar lebih banyak tentang hal baru. Teknik belajar yang menyenangkan ada 3, yaitu easy and interesting reading material, listening to English book atau audio book. Yang ketiga adalah banyak-banyak berlatih. Pembelajaran dasar e-learning adalah interaksi dengan output dan input untuk membuka dan mencoba sesuatu yang baru dan menumbuhkan pikiran. Selanjutnya, kita juga harus mengetahui kebiasaan yang harus dimiliki untuk belajar bahasa agar dapat menuju kesuksesan, seperti menonton movie atau animation movie, listening to music. Kita harus memiliki visi atau dream untuk kedepannya. In learning, we also have ability serta pemikiran yang terus berkembang, yaitu tidak ada pikiran untuk berhenti belajar, because making mistakes are okay. Untuk mempelajari bahasa Inggris dengan cakap, kita perlu mengaplikasikan teknologi dan perlu memperhatikan beberapa hal, di antaranya motivation management, personalization, timely feedback, cooperative learning, authentic learning, and private learning. Teknologi menyediakan a lot of nutrition and language processing and language use. Dan juga ada beberapa website yang telah diberikan oleh pemateri kita, di antaranya Elo, StudyZone, EnglishClub.com, manythings.org, dan many other websites are available. What you need is the eagerness.